Okay, so this is going to be a scene from a much longer work that I'm working on, but not actually ever going to finish, called Getting Lucky. And when I say getting lucky, I don't mean like sex stuff, but like if I wrote it, the full version probably would mean sex stuff, but not in this case. And when I say getting lucky, I hope you don't mean I'm going to get up here and brag for like 5 minutes or so, but it means absolutely I'm going to fucking brag for like 5 or 6 minutes or so. So here's my story. Here's the time I became a Disney prince. It started spring break of my senior year. I was in Florida on my spring break, and I had a mentor named Doug Blimker. He's this PR guy who's kind of been mentoring me through high school, hoping that I'd be a PR guy like him. Fuck him, right? I'm a musical theater major. But he's still cool with me, and he's super gay, by the way. Like, not like this gay, but like this gay. He's always been hoping that I'd be gay too, but that would be Doug's getting lucky story. So anyhow, I walk into this room, right? It's this big, almost gymnasium-style thing, and there's mirrors wrapped all the way around, kind of like a ballet studio meets a gymnasium, you know, the one in high schools that you always had. And inside there are 400 people, 400 of the hottest people I've ever seen in my entire life. It's this open casting call for Disney princes and princesses. And so when I say hot, I don't want to like dehumanize women, but holy shit, they were hot. So I sit down in this room, I get my number. We do what we call a cattle call in the industry, which is like they slap a number on your chest and you lose all sense of identity. So I get number 369. And so I sit and I wait, and they call these groups of 50 in at a time. And then, so I see these groups of 50 waving in, and I have 47 come out, and then there's these girls that come out sobbing. So like they walk in, you know, it's like, oh my god, I'm gonna be a princess today. And I walk in like, holy shit, I'm ugly. All right, so anyhow, my number's called eventually. I'm 369. I'm in group 350 to 400, and here's how this works. They line us up in groups of 10, and we walk in front of this one gay guy, not like Doug Gay. This guy's like gay, and he looks at me, just this one casting director staring me in the eyes, making these little notes on his iPad. There we go. He just stares at my face for a really, really long time. I'm like, what the fuck? But I had good feelings. And eventually, I'm standing there, he's calling some people back, calling numbers out, you know, like who he wants to stay. And I'm just kind of spacing out. And there's a student next to me, he goes, dude, that's your number. I was like, what? He goes, number 369. I was like, oh, me! So I made it to round 2 of my Disney audition, which is pretty cool because I figured I'd be there for 5 minutes and then leave. But here's what happens. I go to this dance call next, and I'm this high school senior fresh out of show choir, so I'm really ready for a dance call. So they teach a super simple combination where it's literally like Prince wave one way, you know, spin around a little bit, etc., etc. But all these other guys had obviously never danced in their lives or been so rusty at it that they couldn't do it anymore. So they started asking me questions, and the casting director started looking at me, seeing if they're asking me questions, and they noticed that. So obviously I can dance a little bit. So when they started calling people back for the next round, I stayed. I stayed to round 3 of Disney audition. And now I'm into what part 3 is called, the pantomime, which if you don't know, is when you just act out things without actually having anything to work with. And they want you to do what's called fur. Because if you're a prince, you must also be a fur character. That means like Mickey, Minnie, Donald, you know, the big costumes, the furry things that get hot and you get really sweaty as fuck. Well, I had to do one of those things. So they gave me a situation, and they said, wash your dog. And I said, okay, and before I did it, I was like, wait a second. If minor acting movements will not work for this. They don't want to see me get up there and actually wash my dog. So here's what I did. Started washing it, and they did not seem to react. And I was like, I really got to push this harder. So I grab my dog and I roll around a little bit, and I start washing. He starts fighting me and start biting my face. They laughed a little bit. So I was really losing my confidence. I'm like, well, you know, round 3 is not bad. But they called me back. I made it to round 4. So they started saying the princes that you'd be considered for. And I was called back for Flynn Rider, which maybe you can see it, maybe you can't, if you're familiar with Tangled, and Prince Philip from Sleeping Beauty. And they gave you this laminated sheet and a binder of every piece of information you could possibly have on this character. And I had to study it for like 5 minutes and like rehearse this monologue in this character's voice. So I had to do the famous Flynn Rider Smolder thing. You know the one, it's like, all right, I didn't want to have to do this, but you leave me no choice. Here comes the smolder. He laughed. A little bit of laughing. and that's cool. And they started taking pictures of me, and that's super awesome, because I was like, holy shit, I'm auditioning for a Disney Prince thing right now. And it was good enough that they took me back to a costume room, and I'm surrounded by the gay men of the hairdressers in the makeup department. And they were all super sassy, and they loved me, and they started working on me, putting wigs on my head, and I got dressed in this costume, the Flynn Rider costume itself. And then I went back and did my monologue again in this voice. And then the coolest thing happened. You might wonder if I got this job or not. I can tell you with this. Fuck me. Thank you.